Hello guys, welcome to another episode on Insight with Ojoma Yusuf on Kama TV. Well, today I'll be having a guest that will be coming to shed more light on how to equip children with special needs on art ability. She'll be here with me shortly and she'll educate us on how that will be done. So just sit back. After the short break, you have my guest with me. Hello everyone, welcome back from the short break. Don't forget, this is Insight with Ojoma Yusuf on Kama TV, and you know how we do it on the show. We enlighten you on specific issues, and today I'll be dabbling a little to children. Yes, not just children, but children living with disabilities. And I have this foundation that all they do is to ensure they equip them and then mold them to become something great tomorrow. By what means? By art ability. And I have my guest here. Her name is Mrs. Esther Dong-Young from Helping Hands for Women and Youth Support. And she'll be telling us how she could make that possible. So, Mrs. Esther, you're welcome to the show, ma.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
I'm pleased to have you on Insights.
Thank you.
All right. When I saw your initiative bringing up little children, not just little children, challenged children, teaching them artwork, it baffles me. And I want to know where that dream is coming from. How did this happen?
Well, I lived with a brother who had Down syndrome. And through the years, we struggled. Back in the days, there were no special schools.
Yeah.
So he went to a normal school. And unfortunately, they didn't know how to cope with him. We also, as a family, we didn't know how to cope with him. So it was really a struggle. And unfortunately for us as a family, the situation degenerated.
Oh my God.
And it became a case of brain damage. And at the end of the day, my brother got missing in 2003.
Oh God.
So before he got missing, I read an article, because I studied industrial design. I read an article about art therapy. And I was wondering maybe there could be something interesting that he could do, because he kept drawing on the wall.
Wow.
He had issues to do with dysgraphia. He had issues to do with writing, and maths was an issue. So I found that each time he was trying to write words, and he would always omit one word or the other. So I began to read this article, and I found that art could be a way out for him. And I felt, let me try it. And when we did, it worked. I was in the university. And so I just told my mom to take him to this. In those days, they called them sign writing, where they make all these billboards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they sent him there, and he began to learn. But along the way, the mental health issues became so, and they said they couldn't cope having him, and they sent him back home. And that was when his case degenerated. So I keep wishing I knew more
At that time.
And I wished also there were people who could help, So I know that there's power in the arts to stabilize these children. It may not heal them, but it will stabilize them. It will bring out the inner qualities that in them you do not know, especially their creative ability. And that's why it's called art ability.
Art ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You see, some persons feel giving back to such children, I know it can be painful, and then it can be like, you're like, this child has nothing more to do. When I saw the kids creating things the day I went for the program, I was really moved, and I was happy that they can still work.
Yeah.
Yeah, their mental case did not, or their disabilities could not stop their ability, so to say. They were bringing out something, they were producing things, and that really got me happy. I was happy about that. So exactly, how did Helping Hands come to be?
Well, Helping Hands, it's through the many, many struggles, that I've had as a person that I founded Helping Hands for Women and Youth Support. But one issue that attracted me, growing up, was that I found many people who have capabilities, looking for shortcuts, you know, especially young girls looking out to use their bodies, you know, to get money, young boys getting, you know, caught in the web of addictions.
Yeah.
So at that time, I had become aware of what it meant. I knew whom I was, and I wanted young people like me to understand. That is growing up, coming up in the university. So I kept wishing that one day I'll have an organization. So I moved with my husband to Jos, and I had worked with the government. I didn't want any government work anymore. So it was then in 1997
Wow.
that
1997.
that
Wow.
I started out, you know, but we actually started out during my NYC. I started a prison art club in Suleja.
Wow.
At that time, there was no art club in the prison, but I went over. I just explained to
brought it
them.
up.
I didn't know. I'd never done it, but it kept occurring to me in my mind that I could go to the prison and start something, and that I did.
And it
So
came true.
and it came true.
Oh my
So when
God.
I came to Jos and I said I wanted to do a program in the prison, they said no, that they had their own procedures. So I said, well,
Okay, I have
the
something else
young,
to do.
the young girls and the women, especially creative empowerment, you know, making people aware of their capabilities has always been the drive, whether for people who are living normal or
Yeah,
those who have one challenge or the other. So that is it. So in 2000, year 2000, we formally became an NGO. Because from 1997, when I founded, it was just my own personal
just working
effort,
on it, yeah.
and I started a small art gallery. But in 2000, I now developed it, bringing out people who were talented, who were making crafts into a space that they could explore and, you know, work together, cooperating together. And along the way, other programs kept coming in. Yes.
Wow. Well, people, I think you should be seated with your pen and your book so that you could learn from what she's really telling us today. We're going a short break right now, and then we'll return back shortly to continue. Don't forget, I have here with me Mrs. Esther Dokyon, and she's an art person. Like, she does act, and she's not just taking it to herself, she's taking it to the young ones, little children with disabilities, and she has been doing well in it. So thank you so much for watching. We're coming back shortly. Don't touch your television. Thank you. Alright guys, welcome back from that short break. Well, Mrs. Esther, you see, these children with challenges also go to school.
Yeah.
Yes, and some of them go to the mixed school where normal children are, and then with them. And then why we have some other schools that are basically for them.
Yeah, which inclusive education has been ratified.
Good, very good. So, can you just tell us how you tend to inculcate this to their teachers? How does this happen? Like, what's your relationship with the teachers and the children, and how would they really inculcate these learning skills to them?
As a teacher myself, I found that there are gaps.
Okay.
There are skills we need to learn, and many of the schools do not actually teach art. They feel that maybe it's irrelevant, but art is a core subject that is found in almost every field. Show me the doctor that will want to do a surgery that does not understand all, you know, the diagrams.
Yeah.
So there's this platform, the HHMS2 SDG challenge. They've equipped me. They are the ones that brought me, you know, to that stage of designing this program, this present program in Yola. Art Ability has been on since 2007, but for the Art Ability project in Yola, is HHMS2 that gave me that platform to come here and train, equip teachers and parents. And at the same time, help the special needs persons, you know, in the schools, and even those out there at home. I know some parents are discouraged. They just keep them at home. Please
They just feel-
don't. Let them explore. Allow them. You cannot tell what the future brings.
Yeah.
Please leave them. And then the teachers, you could check the His Royal Highness Muhammad Sanusi too as the challenge. He's the UN Ambassador on Education, and we're looking at how to provide quality education. And if the teachers do not know it, how will they provide it? So we're looking at finding more space and looking for opportunities for sponsors, so that we can bring in more schools. Right now, we're just working with 3 schools, the Lutheran Deaf Center, the Remy Educational Foundation, and then the special needs school in Song.
Okay.
But we have Mubi, we have Jada. We want to work with these teachers at a deeper level so that they acquire design thinking skills. They know the problem and then how to find a solution. And also using circular economy. We have a lot of waste in the community. How to learn, teaching them how to use, reuse,
create
repurpose, recycle, and even upcycling. Those are some of the things. And then using our own indigenous art, because Africa is endowed. Adamawa, when you talk of art, we have a lot. And so that is one of the things we want teachers to know, how to use our indigenous art, indigenous materials, waste materials, repurpose them, create things. In fact, they could be income generating activities for the schools themselves. So that's what we're looking forward to. And we trust God that at the end of the day, these schools one day will be here, showcasing their art, for the world to see.
I would really love to have those kids, if there's anyone and all of that, so they will come in here and then display what you've taught them. Well, when I saw you teaching them that day, I was actually thinking it's not going to be possible for them to create anything. I was just like, how is it possible? But I was very surprised. They were able to catch up and then create something good. And some of them were even showing me, Auntie, like they were tapping me to see what they've done. And I was impressed. Well, one word from you to parents out there. I know you have this experience already because you told me that you have a brother like that and all of that. I've interviewed one lady here in Yola, and she told me that when her mother gave birth to her, one of their neighbors said, go and throw away this child because she has a challenge. Like from the leg, from the knee down here was nothing. So the mom nearly threw her away, but her brother stood and said, no, this is a child from God and she has something to do on earth. So what do you have to say to parents that have such children and they are discouraged, they are feeling pain that did I offend anybody? Why should I have such child? And then what will the child become tomorrow in the future? What do you have to say to parents like that?
I want to plead with parents to be patient with these children. I recall my own children, I would beat them and say, oh, they are not measuring up. But these same children that I was struggling with, there are teaching skills that are appropriate for different people. Explore the internet, check. You will find those information that are relevant for the kind of need of that child. And don't be ashamed of that child. Some people are looking for one child they can't find. And you found that child, because we found that the whole of Yola, all the schools that we brought in, one parent was not there. When we went to some, only one parent came. So at the end of the day, among 150 children, only one parent presented himself. So please be proud, because you never can tell what the future holds for this child, and miracles still happen. As you continue to give that child that platform to explore, you can never tell. The change can come in a manner that you cannot understand. I've seen some artworks, made by a blind student. He was a student at Unijos. I just came with him. I said, let's do string art. And he did them and they were fine. And I said, oh, you have a nice voice. And he said, really? I said, yes. And after he left me, he met another person who told him again, you have a nice voice. Do you know today he's a musician and comedian?
Wow.
That same person that
visually
was just
impaired.
doing, visually impaired, and he came feeling discouraged, but just a word of affirmation took him to where his destiny is. Today he's a comedian. Today he's a musician. And you see, some of us may not be able to reach where he has gotten to today.
Very true.
With his disability, he's making waves.
All right, people, I think this show today has really got me humbled and calm, and then also I've learned, and I'm sure you have learned. Thank you so much for coming, Mrs. Esther Dog-Young from Helping Hands for Women and Youth Support. Yes, we're glad to have you on Insight, and we'll be hoping to have you some other time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Parents out there, you've heard from her. Be proud of your child, whether he has any challenge or not. God gave you that child, and then He knows why He gave that child to you. And the child has a destiny and a future. So help the child and build the future better. Thank you so much for watching Inside. I am Ojoma Yusuf, and bye-bye for now.